welcome back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back to T+T Doubleshot. I'm Tim, the studio manager and retoucher, and this is
Trent. I take pictures, and he makes them look pretty.
Thank you for joining us. This is part 2,
Or
of our photo shoot / video shoot at the Minotti showroom in Boston.
It's in the afternoon, and we're a little post-lunch.
Thinking that 9:00 a.m. is the best, optimal, record a video time because you don't have sleepy face, but you're kind of fresh.
All right,
it's
here
now
we go.
2:30 and
right. It's at 3:00 in an office, man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But
so little work gets done after 3, I imagine.
Yeah, that is. Get up early and it's productivity. But here we are. So
we are here.
This is the image that we've decided to break down. I think this was one that you signaled as a favorite. And
yeah.
So these are some of the. We're just going to go over all the raw images from this one composition. So
raw images, talk about composition, and then lighting that we had to do to accomplish this image. Yeah. So they had 3 coffee table things going on here. You can see the wood one, the marble thing, and then this kind of Ottoman more kind of thing, which was a little weird to deal with. And then these pillows in the foreground, multiple layers of things flopping around, hot spots on the pillows from the downlighting from above, these different light pools mixing with the cool light coming in, the brightness of the sofa and everything beyond that wall. But overall, I thought this was a fun composition. I think we stayed to this direction a little bit just so if we moved around to the right more, we would have seen more of the side of the couch, which just could have been a forehead kind of thing. I think we might have been coming up against a wall to our right a little bit as well. The opening was between this space and the other one where you could be. So we kind of had some limiting factors there. They also had this black thing. You see that little oval shaped black thing? It was a very, different kind of thing. It was for it to be black in that form, just central in the whole thing was a little weird. But
was that all? The styling is just, it's all there.
All
right?
there,
Nothing's
existing.
Added.
Yeah. So compositionally, I think that's mostly the main thing that we're dealing with this side of the sofa arm, kind of not wanting to have that too central and looking right at you, but still being able to see the back of the sofa and the back of these pillows just a little bit to give us a taste of that. And then see the place setting in the other chairs. And to me, I want to go to this second chair over there in the middle. But that's most of the composition of it. To go through the bracketing layers, the darkest to, I think we would have probably had one or another one just a little darker to get outside the window. That's probably just not included in here.
No, they're all there. It might be further down.
You can see the blue and the yellow start to mix there. Get a little weird. And then so we did a lights on and then lights off layer. And the lights off layer for the light in here just looks so much nicer.
Which is, I don't remember many compositions having lights off. I feel like
it might have been that it just became such a complication.
Yeah.
And the schedule of shooting this was so compressed.
Plus, I guess if you're shooting video also on the scene prior, maybe you're not wanting to flick lights on and off, and that's a consideration.
So here's the trick that we do most of the time is just put a light center but cheated towards the key light source of the space. So the key light source are these massive windows in here, so I'll usually cheat the light to that side a little bit just to give a somewhat similar direction as the key light source. And that's going to give us this nice wall back here, kind of lit up in a similar light tone as we have coming through the windows. And then you move it left and right, and you can just take it out and keep the other lights. So you put it in 2 places, cheating it closer to the window to help everything feel that way. I mean, look at how nice of light that creates on the sofa arm and everything there. So good. I feel like I'm kind of doing a cooking show. Look at how that light there sits on that.
Tastes
so good.
You can never sympathize with that. It's like, well, I just want to taste it. You can tell me how good it is, but
visual cooks. And that's pretty much all the layers that we use to put that together. Now, for the final image, I like how this stuff gets darker and everything over there on the other side. It leaves your attention on the foreground. And I do love the darker leather with the wood grain of those chairs. It's really nice. But that's, we have our added lighting, our natural lighting, and then our incandescent. And the final product is, a combination of all those that Tim does, putting them all together, and then taking all the pimples and everything out. Our composition was primarily limited left and right because of this opening that we were shooting through. And our ability for height on this composition mostly came down to wanting to see onto the coffee table, wanting to see onto the seats of the chairs a little bit, but not getting so high that you don't feel like you can see under that wall at all. Like if we were too high, you kind of feel like it. You kind of like this feeling of passing under there a little bit. And then the higher you go, the more informational it becomes, in my opinion. And the lower you go, the more kind of relational or experiential it is. It's a little more emotion to it. So as far as composition and lighting, that's pretty much it, because the styling and everything was pretty much done for us before we even engaged in this. Looking back, things I would change on this, if I could have, I would have gone more to the right a little bit, while not losing this kind of shadow and highlight texture on the back of the couch that we see there. I'd probably move about a foot or two more to the right if possible, just to see that direction a little bit. And I probably would close this gap on the end of this wall that drops down here a little bit.
You weren't concerned at all about like lighting back behind that kind of half or 3/4 wall there, like that other space back there?
Not
is that just kind of like,
really.
we'll leave that to...
I prefer it like in that level there to just be pretty dark and just kind of back over there. It's not the focus of it. You want to see that you pass through, but not draw your attention over there, like to that, that's just blown out and like, hey, look at me. So I think that's pretty much it. I'd pass it off to you at that
let's
point.
just switch over here to Photoshop. It's probably not as dark over there as you were just talking about, but that's, oh yeah, I'm sorry, that's all off there, isn't it? So that's we already saw that's the finished image.
So click between them back and forth. Can you do that? You see everything kind of change and move, and the blue and the color and the light levels. And once again, Tim has done a great job.
I just left those couches beyond, just I think we're probably the mid.
Yeah, but they have a nice kind of subtly reflective silvery kind of feel to them in the final image. I mean, they're a little bright, but they're not overly distracting for me. So
let's start with ground zero here. The obvious challenge, maybe it's not obvious, I'm not sure, but like the blue is gonna be a hard thing to deal with.
Yep.
Because you're behind the little tree shrub there, and then
green, blue, brown, yellow, everything's going on there.
Yeah, it's a weird mixture on there. But the flash layer really kind of compensates for most of that piece, anyways. And so I'm probably just bringing my highlights in. Bringing my shadows up a little bit in there. What does that look like?
Oh, look at that.
And then highlights. Maybe I'm just working on the scene here, the couches, the chairs, getting that to where I want. Then I'm going to move over to the windows and the 3/4 wall, I guess it's called.
When I look at these, I feel like, man, it was so much work just go there and shoot for the day and come back. And then like every image, you're staying with every image for so long, doing all this stuff on it. I mean, it's just so much work.
It is. Yeah, and it's hard for me to sometimes appreciate the amount of work you do on site, because I mean I go once in a while, but like to just get the image like, wow, these look pretty good, and like I know like behind all of that is just a ton of like work getting it to that point. I'm just bringing in some of the cushions there that are really kind of just hot. Use like a luminosity mask. That's why it's kind of defined in there. What else? So I think in terms of the couches and the chairs, for the most part, level light and shadow wise, I think I'm pretty happy where that's at. And then so I think I'm going to start working on the windows, and that's just
it's bringing the blue out a little bit,
and I think that's just a color balance in on the raw file. And then bringing that in, it's probably set the color at 75. So I'm not getting any of the luminosity value. It's just color, just trying to get the blue out.
Okay.
Any little blue that's left, I can probably just desaturate it. If I can do most of the work with a raw layer, then I will. And I'm doing that there on the
wall.
What is this called? Is it a 3/4 wall? There's probably a name for it.
But. Yeah, it's weird. Like you'd say a half wall would be coming from the ground up.
Yeah.
Hanging wall.
A hanging 3/4 wall. Go with that.
Right.
And so I'm just correcting the blue in that.
All right.
You kind of see it. I probably just pen tooled for the most part, most of it. But what is that doing? The same thing? That's doing, some of these are pretty subtle. Maybe I think that might just be doing the same thing. I'm working just slowly building up layers as we go.
Polishing.
That really kind of changes it. I think.
Ooh, yeah.
I think this right here, as it is, was not with the lights off, and so I'm going with the lights off. You get much more like directional light from over here. So I think that's just lights off, just for that
area,
just for the windows.
Okay.
It just, I don't know, it feels better. Bringing the outside in, not that, I don't know, the outside wasn't all that great to look at, but it's there.
Better. So you're taking out
probably
some incandescent layer, and it looks like you're painting in the strobe layer, kind of.
It might be. Yeah, I'm only at 50%. It might be the strobe layer kind of overlaid at 50%.
Right.
Toggle that again. Yeah, you see it shapes that little. I guess it's I don't know what it is. An ottoman. It gives shape to some of the cushions.
Yeah, definitely much better.
And then again, that's probably another
this wall here on the end of the 3/4 hanging wall.
Evening that out, and then working more in here, kind of working my way from like a wider perspective down into the.
This has a better highlight shadow thing going on now, too.
I think we were talking earlier about cleaning up the shadows.
Right.
It shapes that little ottoman thing a little nicer. And then that black vase artwork there you were talking about, I think it's a little cleaner looking.
Yep.
And so that one just
Darkened
kills
down
off the corner up here. Just so your eye isn't drawn up there.
Right. It's kind of a vignetting approach to a degree.
Light pools, and so I think we left them like this when we delivered the initial set to the client. They're like, well, we want the light pools out, and so it was just going in and grabbing the flash layer.
Yeah, I like it better without them.
Yeah, I do too. So that was one of them, and that's the color.
Nice.
So yeah, it cleans it up. It's much nicer, I think. Retouching. It's really just the ceiling. I think
a lot of busyness back in that corner there, and then pimples off the wall over on the left.
I think there's like a
fire exit and stuff over there, or something like that. Just cleaning that up.
Yeah. And then I think like the carpeting had some work because you moving things around.
Oh, look at that. Had some work done.
work done on the carpet. And then just little things that catch your eye, fire extinguisher, things like that. Cleaning everything up.
Adding a
That's
little
just a
highlight
curves
there.
adjustment to
Yeah,
sort of
that's
accentuate
nice.
that tree, I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm. Definitely better there.
Bringing in that. I think I did that, bringing in this area back here, just to separate it from the end of this, so it's not like they don't feel like it's not the same light level. Like
Right.
It almost feels like there's no separation there. I think I'm just bringing in some separation to shape the end of this. Whether that's we want to draw attention back there, I don't know, but and that's just some desaturation. There's still some blue up in there that I mentioned earlier that you get most of it out with a white balance.
Like right now I see blue here and right here.
And I think that's just removing.
Look at that. Yeah.
It's amazing how much, like, when you pull blue out of like sills and stuff, it really just cleans an image up. It's such an easy thing to do. And it makes a huge difference.
Toggle it from this distance.
It's not so bad in this, but like you get it underneath the couch there.
Like if you look up in this corner of the image and you toggle it, you don't see it, but you do see it. And when you look at it and do it, you're like,
there's
whoa.
something about like always the blue cast in images that when you take it out, it just cleans it up so nicely.
It's calmer or something after that.
And then the brown is probably just evening out the color in these cushions here.
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle, super subtle. But there's some blue.
All right.
I think you can get used to this mouse. You can see it. Yeah, just a little bit. There's a little blue catching on the front there that you're addressing. And then this is probably the ceiling, desaturating the ceiling. Yep. Global curves adjustment.
Oh, that feels nice.
A little bit of a curve. Stay with us. We're losing him. Am I that boring?
No. It's just the afternoon.
You won't hurt my feelings. It's the technical. And then straightening it out, I think is it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just working your way around the image. The interest of this composition is the couches and the chairs. So I start by really just focusing on that, getting that to where I want. Then I'll address like the windows. You're just breaking into pieces. Windows next, then this 3/4 drop wall, and then behind that, and then so you kind of just think maybe there's like 5 quadrants you could say that you just kind of work within each one.
But everything you did there, like every single step was contributing towards this focus and this even, look that just, if you look at the very first image, it's really close, but it's so far.
Right.
And there's so much work involved with just knowing how to do those things, but also why you do those things.
Right.
That learning to see in that way helps you execute these things.
Right, yeah.
And I remember when we first started working together, I think your background was more so retouching people and stuff. And retouching architecture, you found out it's like these really weird interactions of very crisp lines that get weird from light contrast, differences and everything else, and color casts that were far more problematic than the standard of retouching human faces or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there was definitely a degree of difficulty when I first started doing
Now that you've done this for an absurd amount of time,
it's nice to go back and work on a portrait.
Yeah.
Because you're not really using layers. You're working with one.
Right.
And you're using these
so
tools that you have.
Like when you approach the portraits that we do for the design theory project, how are you approaching that differently when you're looking at someone's face, but the portraits we're doing are lit with like a red and a blue light and a neutral colored light too, and some other stuff. How do you approach those differently? Like, what's your mindset difference and what are you looking for in that?
It's still like I feel like the overall thinking is similar. You know, you're still thinking like highlights and shadows and balancing that out. It's much easier when it's generally with a portrait, because it's you're doing it in one image and not over the course of a set. But like if you zoom in on a face and you're looking at just the face, you're still looking at just the highlights and shadows and like the little uneven areas, and kind of softening and blending those together. And to some degree, you're doing that here. I kind of think of them as pretty similar. You're removing the pimples, you would say.
Yeah, you're like doing the exact same thing, but on a different substrate.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah, and you know, in some of the architecture stuff, you know, you're evoking a feeling with like a mood or something, and you can do that with a portrait as well. Different tools to accomplish that, but yeah, with a portrait, you're challenged with just working from one image, and that's your limitation.
But I mean, a lot of times we'll pull like glasses from another image or stuff like that. We kind of cross pollinate that way, but yeah,
compositing. So,
well, I think the next thing then is the video.
Yeah, which
will probably keep us awake a little more.
I think so. Yeah,
it'll be moving, and we'll be like,
and there's some music, which I think we can.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know if we can play that, right? We're not going to get
music
demonetized or something.
When we did the video initially, we had what I really appreciated, the music track, but they ended up going with something that was not as much as what I would have chosen.
Yeah. That's always that's a hard balance, but we can talk about that in the next video.
There we go. Click on the next video that'll be available sometime after this video.
Part 3. See you then. Later.